Lobelia Tupa, Devil's Tobacco. Welcome back to Pete's world of poisonous plants. Today we're stepping into the world of fire, fury and madness with a plant that looks as if it crawled straight out of hell itself, Lobelia Tupa. Now, you may have heard of lobelia before, the delicate little blue flowers that gardeners love to hang in baskets. Sweet, innocent, harmless. But Lobelia Tupa is their much bigger, much nastier cousin. And like many family members, this one doesn't just show up drunk at Christmas. It brings a hangover, hallucinations, and a near-death experience. A fiery appearance, Lobelia Tupa, is sometimes called Devil's Tobacco, and if you see it in bloom, you'll know why. Towering up to 2 meters tall with blazing scarlet flowers that look like burning torches, this plant dominates the landscape of Chile, where it grows wild. It's striking, beautiful, and utterly deceptive. It calls you in like a red-dressed femme fatale at a smoky bar. But what it offers isn't a dance, it's a slow tango with delirium, the indigenous connection. For centuries, the indigenous Mapuche people of Chile had a complicated relationship with this fiery plant. They used it in rituals, smoking its dried leaves, much like tobacco. But this was no Marlboro moment. This was a full-on hallucinatory voyage. Used in shamanic ceremonies, it was said to open the mind to visions. But let's be clear, those visions came at a price: vomiting, dizziness, paralysis, and, if you were really unlucky, death. Imagine being told by your village shaman, yes, smoke this, it will help you see the spirits, and then promptly finding yourself seeing your spirit leaving your body. The toxins within. So, what exactly makes Lobelia Tupa so dangerous? The plant contains pyridine alkaloids, the most infamous being lobeline. This compound affects the nervous system, mimicking the effects of nicotine but with a far nastier punch. Lobeline stimulates the body at first, heart racing, adrenaline flowing, before turning treacherous, depressing the central nervous system, leaving you weak, confused, and barely able to breathe. It's the biological equivalent of a mate who buys you a round of shots, hypes you up, then abandons you unconscious in the gutter. From medicine to madness. Interestingly, European explorers who encountered Lobelia Tupa thought it might be medicinal. Because of its nicotine-like properties, it was tested as a possible aid to help people quit smoking. Yes, you heard that right. Want to quit smoking? Try smoking something worse. But here's the catch: too much, and instead of curing your nicotine cravings, it would cure you of breathing permanently. It's a bit like giving someone arsenic as a diet pill. Yes, you'll lose weight, but only because you're in a coffin. The blue pill that backfired, and it doesn't stop there. Among the Mapuche, Lobelia Tupa also had a reputation as a kind of natural aphrodisiac, a blue pill, centuries before Pfizer came along. The idea was simple: smoke it and let passion take its course. The reality? Far less romantic. Yes, it could increase blood flow and arousal, but at the same time, it caused nausea, dizziness, hallucinations, and the occasional loss of bladder or bowel control. Not exactly the kind of fireworks you want in the bedroom. Imagine whispering sweet nothings to your partner, only to suddenly collapse in a sweaty heap, shaking, vomiting, and apologizing for the smell. That's not love, it's chemical warfare. So instead of being the Chilean Casanova, you'd end up looking more like a collapsed garden gnome in the corner. Hardly the stuff of erotic legend. Hallucinations and horror reports from those who've taken Lobelia Tupa in recreational doses, though frankly there's nothing recreational about it, describe terrifying hallucinations, violent vomiting, cold sweats, and sometimes seizures. The brain is tricked, flooded with chemical signals it can't handle. What follows are visions of flames, spirits, distorted realities, a psychedelic nightmare. It's not the kind of trip that ends with you swaying at a music festival. This is the sort of trip where you're face down on the floor, clutching the carpet, begging the walls to stop breathing. A garden oddity. So how did this devilish plant make its way into polite society? Believe it or not, Victorian gardeners adored Lobelia Tupa. Its tall scarlet spires gave exotic flair to country estates. To them, it wasn't a death stick, it was an ornamental showpiece. Picture some aristocratic lady in 1875 showing off her garden. Oh yes, dahlias over there, roses on the trellis, and just beside the fountain, ah yes, the hallucinogenic death plant. Because nothing says English country house like the possibility of paralytic fits after afternoon tea. Danger in disguise. Here's the real danger. Unlike other notorious plants like belladonna or foxglove, Lobelia tupa doesn't look dangerous. There's no skull and crossbones vibe, no creepy black berries, just bright cheerful flowers. And that's the trick. You wouldn't think twice about brushing against it, or perhaps tasting a leaf on a dare. But remember, its alkaloids don't care if you think you're tough. They'll treat your nervous system like an electrical circuit and short it right out. The devil's tobacco. Today. Nowadays, Lobelia tupa still grows in gardens worldwide, admired for its beauty, but quietly ignored for its toxicity. It doesn't kill as often as other poisonous plants, but it lurks in the background, waiting for someone foolish enough to treat it like its harmless cousin. There are still herbalists who experiment with lobelia, using it in tinctures and remedies, but mainstream medicine knows better. The margin between helpful and hospital is paper thin. You could say the plant has retired, living a quiet suburban life, but its reputation still smolders. A flame never truly goes out, it just waits for fuel. The final warning. So, what can we take away from Lobelia tupa? It's a plant of contradictions. Beautiful yet deadly, revered yet feared, medicinal yet murderous. It tempts with scarlet flames, but delivers nothing but nausea, delirium, and a sharp reminder that nature is not your friend, it's a trickster. So next time you see this towering red devil swaying in someone's garden, admire it from a safe distance. Take a photo, but don't touch, don't taste, and for heaven's sake, don't smoke it. Because the devil's tobacco doesn't give you enlightenment, it gives you a nightmare, and you may not wake up. And as always, welcome to Pete's world of poisonous plants. Enter at your own risk.